Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm finally pregnant. I'm so happy and I'm so excited to be doing this video because if you watched my last video, you know that we were going through fertility treatments and we have really been wanting to get pregnant. So I am pregnant. I'm actually already in my second trimester, but I wanted to go over with you guys how my first trimester went, what my first symptoms were, and also if you're going through fertility treatments, what the next steps are after you get your big fat positive. So if you guys would love to hear all about it, then keep on watching. Okay, let's start off with the symptoms. My very first symptom was a cold. So I started feeling under the weather when we came back from Texas. We had gone on vacation to visit family for about a few days. And then when we got home, I started feeling just a little bit under the weather. And I was just talking to my sister-in-law because I had just gotten back and she was saying, you know, when I got pregnant, I felt a little bit under the weather too. And I was like, okay, maybe. And this was already after our second cycle of IUI. So then I did take a pregnancy test maybe 2 days after we got back, and I did get a big fat positive. I was kind of excited, but more so I didn't believe it. I just thought maybe there's still HCG in my system. This is the trigger shot, and technically the trigger shot, if you still have it in your system, you can get a false negative. And then I started counting the days and I started trying to figure it out. Did I in fact still have that in my system? And I kind of thought maybe I don't. So I told my husband and it was really exciting. But yeah, that was basically my first symptom. But anyway, I guess the positive was true because I'm pregnant. So I'm excited about that. And my second symptom was vivid dreams. I kid you not, I usually don't dream that much when I'm not pregnant. And in the beginning of my pregnancy, my dreams were so vivid, I almost didn't know how to distinguish reality when I would wake up. I would wake up frantic if it was a nightmare, or I would wake up like, oh, that was really great. But then I was like, no, this didn't happen. Even with my husband, I would tell him, did I already tell you to take out the trash, or something simple like that I had dreamt? So they had become quite vivid, and that was a little funny symptom that I really just hadn't seen online or anything like that, because trust you me, I was looking at YouTube videos just like everybody else, trying to symptom spot, see if I was pregnant or not. And then another symptom, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. And another symptom I had, which I still have till this day, as you can kind of tell, is shortness of breath. I just started that right from the beginning. I don't really know why. I didn't really ever ask my physician, but I just had shortness of breath. And I think it has to do something with your blood volume. I'm not quite sure. But either way, that was one of my symptoms afterwards. And it's definitely gotten much worse now in my second trimester. But I will tell you guys all about that when that video comes up. Oh, okay, and this other one has also gotten a lot worse. So I am constantly going to the bathroom to pee. I mean, constantly. In the beginning, it was bad because it went from normal to all of a sudden I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm having to go to the restroom and then going back to sleep, and it would happen about 1 or 2 times a night. Nothing too bad. Usually I would get up once by myself before pregnancy. And then throughout the day, I drink a lot of water. I usually drink 2 of these. And then I have one that's like half the size of this that I drink when I get home, plus some water in the morning. So I drink a ton of water, and because of that, I was constantly going to the restroom even more. It's been kind of crazy since then. It's only gotten worse. But yeah, definitely my first trimester, I had to go to the restroom all the time. I kind of thought everybody at work was going to find out because I was just constantly going to the restroom, and it was like they either thought like I had a UTI or I don't know what they thought, but it was pretty funny. So moving on to my 5th symptom now. I usually get migraines. I'm a migraine sufferer. I get chronic migraines, and with the pregnancy, because your hormones change, and that's one of my migraine triggers, is my hormones changing, going up and down. Before I would get my period, I would get migraines. Also, sleep deprivation gives me migraines. So when I got pregnant, I started to get these migraines, and I'll tell you why a little bit more once I get into what to expect after you've gotten your big fat positive with your fertility specialist, because I did have to get my blood drawn, so I would get migraines because of that. So I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that. But I did have a lot of headaches. I actually had one headache that lasted like 10 days. And later on, when I went to see my OBGYN, they actually told me just be a little bit more aggressive with your headache so that you can stop it from the beginning. So instead of just taking Tylenol, I didn't want to take extra strength, even though my fertility specialist said it was okay. My OBGYN said to take Excedrin without aspirin, and then also to just have plenty of rest and plenty of water, and that I could just kind of do that throughout the day, and just to be aggressive the first time, or else it would linger for 10 days. And it did, and it was miserable having a headache for 10 days. I did not have a migraine for 10 days. I only had a couple, maybe 3 migraines throughout the entire first trimester, and they actually lasted up to 16 weeks. So that was really tough, but I mean, I was just very happy, and I was kind of like, well, these are my symptoms, and that's fine with me. You know how it goes. Okay, and my last symptom, which I feel like a lot of people share, is I was starving. I literally would wake up in the middle of the night, have to go to the restroom, and then I would have Ritz crackers right next to me. And it was so funny because I would wake up my husband a lot eating, which is, I mean, to me it's funny. I'm sure it wasn't to him. But regardless, I would have Ritz crackers right next to me because I'd be so famished. I would literally wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten in forever. So I would have some crackers. It would kind of ease me a little bit. I didn't have any nausea, thank goodness. And then I didn't have any like upset stomach, any heartburn or anything. So I was really, really lucky. I didn't get any nausea. I also didn't have any food aversions. I haven't even had any cravings throughout the first trimester either. I mean, I was kind of craving some, what was it? Just like Asian food, like pretty much anything like pho or noodles, a lot of pasta. But it wasn't like, it didn't feel like cravings, like I must have it right now. It was just kind of normal. Like I was just kind of, oh, I want this saltiness today or something like that. But regardless, that was definitely one of my symptoms. I was just hungry all the time. I was hungry all throughout the day. I was eating a ton at work. I was eating a ton over the weekends. I do meal prep, so I usually do eat every 2 hours. So it did help to ease my hunger, to be consistent about eating small meals throughout the day, because I didn't want to gain too much weight. I am already a little bit overweight, so they do want me to gain a certain amount throughout my pregnancy. But moving on, those were my symptoms in the beginning of, oh, and my breasts hurt. That was another one. Yes, my breasts hurt throughout sort of the beginning. I just kind of felt like I was a little crampy with my breasts, a little crampy even in my uterus, and it kind of felt like I might be getting my period, which was a little concerning later on, since you're kind of just worried the whole first trimester. And I'll explain to you what was kind of putting me at ease, because of the fact that I did have to go to my fertility specialist quite a bit. So if you're going to a fertility specialist and that's how you got pregnant as well, then you have to go to a fertility specialist for, how many times can I say fertility specialist? I don't know, but you have to go there until you're 12 weeks, and then you graduate, is what they call it, which is so cute, to regular doctor, your OBGYN. So I was going to the doctor almost every week, I want to say, and I wrote down a few dates just to tell you guys exactly what we started to do afterwards. So the first thing that we did after we got a positive pregnancy test was we took our beta test. So this beta test basically measures your HCG levels, which is what your body produces when you get pregnant. It's a chemical. And then it also shows you your progesterone levels, because progesterone is what's going to sustain the pregnancy. Oh, sorry. I also have to look at my notes for this because there was so many dates and so many appointments, so I can't remember all of them, but I did write them down. So the first one was my first beta test. That one was on July 12th. And my HCG level was 66, which was good. That confirmed my pregnancy, which was so exciting to get that call. I can't tell you how long the call took, even though it was just like a couple hours. I'm just like, oh, please tell me it's real. So that to me was actually, to me and my husband, was the reality. That's when we really thought, okay, we're pregnant. This is happening. And then my progesterone level was 18. Now, my doctor, he errs on the side of caution. So he wanted my progesterone level to be at 20 or higher. And since mine was at 18, they put me on progesterone progesterone suppositories, which is basically pills that you have to put up your vagina. I don't remember if it was once or 3 times a day. Sorry, that's TMI, but that's just how they do it. So it was really annoying, but I was like, I'll do anything to make sure my progesterone levels are correct. So then after that, I actually went back 2 days afterwards on July 14th. And then for my second test, my HCG level was 182, which was great because it was starting to double even more so. And then my third one was on the 16th, and my HCG level was 591. So I think I mentioned in my last video that when you do fertility treatments and you have multiple follicles, sometimes there is the risk of multiples. So when my HCG level started to triple, I was kind of concerned because I had heard that you would have more HCG with a twin pregnancy or multiples pregnancy. And I just wanted to make sure that for my body and health that it was one. Obviously 2 would have been an absolute blessing, but it is a harder pregnancy to go through. Absolutely. Well, you know, I wouldn't know, but regardless, I hear it is, and it makes sense because there's 2 of them in there. So that was my one concern. And then after that, 2 days after that, this all went really fast. On the 18th, we had our first ultrasound. Basically, we were just looking for a little round dot and to make sure that I implanted properly. And I had. It was right in the middle of my uterus, and I had it implanted correctly. And we were just so happy to see that one little dot. And every ultrasound since then was amazing. And you actually get an ultrasound every week, I believe. So when we did the first ultrasound, my progesterone levels came down a little bit, and because I was on suppositories, it was supposed to have gone up. So my doctor wanted me to go on progesterone injections because this way we could guarantee that I was getting enough progesterone since it was going into my bloodstream. And honestly, I'm not afraid of needles, so I was really happy because I did not like doing the suppositories. So to me, it was kind of like, okay, this is so much better. And plus now I don't really have to worry about my progesterone levels that much because it's going to be kind of like automatically in my bloodstream. So we did those, and we did them kind of above my glue, subcutaneously, I believe. And my husband had to do those every night until week 11, I believe. At which point we stopped looking for my progesterone with the doctor, I think a couple weeks after these first tests, these first initial tests, because at that point they already saw it's stabilizing, it looks great, so they didn't have to keep checking it. They also didn't keep checking my HCG levels because those had gone up. Now what they were doing was they were doing ultrasounds every single week to make sure that the baby was developing properly. So they look for a little dot or little hole, and then after that they look for a yolk sac to make sure that the baby's in there, and then they're actually going to look for the heartbeat. So when we heard that heartbeat, I can't even tell you, it was just the most amazing sound, because at that point I kind of felt, wow, I have a real pregnancy. And it was just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it was amazing. And all throughout the time that I was going to my doctor, it was really great because I felt so spoiled. I felt like I get to see my baby develop from a little dot all the way up until a baby. I saw the baby move for the first time there, and I honestly felt super spoiled by them because we were there all the time. Whereas most people who aren't going through fertility treatments have to wait until the 12th week, I believe, 12 to 14 weeks. I'm not sure. I didn't do that, but they have to wait until that time in order to see the OBGYN and do their first ultrasound. So I was really happy that throughout the whole process, we got to see baby just developing. I did actually have a really scary moment, and this was just a few days before we were gonna hear the heartbeat. I was at work, and then all of a sudden I felt crampy, and I felt like I was gonna faint. And I've never fainted in my life, but I felt absolutely horrible. And I started getting this just horrible pain in my abdomen. And I was so scared that I was miscarrying that I didn't know what to do. And I was just I went to the restroom and wanted to see if it was that or if I was bleeding. I was not bleeding. And then afterwards, I kind of just started to try to collect myself, but I kept getting in so much pain to the point where I was nauseated. I felt like I was going to throw up. I had no color to my skin. I know, because I remember looking at my hands and being like, I have no color in my hands. And I just started sweating. and I was at work. So I work at a medical office, and when I was there, all of a sudden I was at the lab, and I just like, I kind of collapsed and I just laid on the floor because I could not move and I was in so much pain. And I have a very high pain tolerance, but this was excruciating. So one of my girls came by and she saw me on the floor. Nobody knew I was pregnant, so I had to tell her to run and get my phone, that I had to call my doctor. She didn't know what was going on. She got the phone, came back. I called my doctor. Thankfully, they're in the same building as I am. So I just went downstairs, and thankfully they're in the same building that I'm in. So they said it was fine for me to go downstairs. They were going to check on baby. Super, super sweet to just see me like right away like that. And I had to tell my medical assistant that I was pregnant. So she helped me down there, and thankfully the baby was absolutely fine. They could see the heartbeat. I actually heard it before my husband without him there. I was really happy, but I was really nervous. So it was just like the second time I heard the heartbeat was quite a bit more emotional. But this time I just was happy that the baby was okay. That's all I remember, like just being so thankful. And then what he saw was that I had a cyst that had ruptured, and there was a fluid at the bottom of my uterus, and it was from the cyst rupturing. And I just could not believe it, because I didn't even know there was cysts on my ovaries or anywhere, wherever they were supposed to be. And neither did he. So we were kind of like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And apparently a lot of people go to the ER because it's so extremely painful. I'd never experienced it before in my life. So it was just really a scary moment. And I just took some Tylenol and went home, and that was that. And then I never felt anything like that again. Anyway, so those were all my symptoms, and then also my fertility follow-ups after my big fat positive. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will be putting up a video of my second trimester and then also my third one, and just filming all this pregnancy as we go along. I'll also insert at the end right now a few pictures of my belly back then and how it was from week 4 to week 12, because I did do all the belly shots. So I will put those in for you guys so that you can see the belly. And then in my next video, I'll actually show you the belly, because right now it's not the size that it was back then. So anyways, thanks again so much for watching, guys. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe.